Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. I'm sitting on the beach right now, just having a look at Bitcoin, had a few spikes, but not sure where things are going to go. So let's have a look at what the show is going to show us and have a look at the news, have a look at the charts, and yeah, just enjoy it with us. So without further ado, Smiles, Smokey, it's nice to have you guys here. How's the weekend treated you?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Thanks, Tony. And I was a bit of everything.
How's it, guys? How you doing? It's been a
Wow,
good
I'm good,
weekend.
Smokey.
It's been a great weekend. It's been interesting to see what's been happening in the charts. We've done quite a bit of backtesting this weekend to see how our sort of trades and analysis, plays out with the sort of current market structure. So yeah, it's interesting times. Shall we jump into the charts? What do you guys say?
I think so. Let's have a look at what the weekend holds. We obviously know that usually on a Sunday night, Monday morning, we usually see Bitcoin making a move. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. So let's go into the charts.
Cool, man. Let's have a look. So let's have a start with our old Bitcoin and see what it's been doing. Like, we've seen quite a bit of sort of up and down action lately, especially over this weekend, where it looks like it wants to entice a bit of a bigger move to the upside, and then like earlier we saw today, like this nice little move up to the what was this 48,300 level, and then just came right back down on the sort of lower time frames, which was quite interesting to see why there was like this little bit of spike of liquidity essentially. But what we can see as well is, if we look at the lower time frames, we can see that price seems to be making sort of higher lows at the bottom here. We pull just a little trend line here, we can see price respecting this trend line to the upside. So that's quite interesting. But from a bullish scenario, what we want to see is we want to see a clean push up above these levels with like a solid candle body close essentially above these levels for us to really be bullish on the current sort of setup and looking at where the market's going. But going on sort of the higher time frames, because that's going to give us much more reliable price action and sort of understanding in terms of a market structure perspective. One thing I also want to point out, in the reports that we send you guys, on a weekly basis, we sent out the latest report this week. So if you guys are interested in getting more info about more coins and more projects that's up and coming and that's in the market, please get in touch with the Moonacade, members, and see how you can get hold of these reports. So what we've done, just to give you a little bit of insight on the reports, is what I've mentioned in this week's report based on, the various sort of analysis, from each analyst in our team, to obviously get a collective perspective of where we're going. What we can see is we can see this sort of falling wedge scenario here that we are busy forming, and we can see that this could potentially see a breakout for a bullish scenario, falling wedge scenario that we could see. So I'm hoping that we could see a bit more bullish action. If we look at the timeline, we spoke to obviously a lot of people, and we said, like, looking at past data, it would seem that we would get a bullish scenario from about the 11th of December up until the 23rd of December. We can expect sort of in that window, we could expect a potential bullish continuation on the scenario. That would be Bitcoin for me right now. We're not seeing major sort of moves that gives us, clarity on the direction, whether it's going, further down maybe, or whether we are going further up. So we are waiting for a clear sense of direction. And again, just pointing and referring back to the reports that we sent you guys, what we've done with the mapping of the reports is, you'll see we've basically drawn out the key levels in the report that you will see, and one of those key ranges is the $50,000 to $52,500 level. So the drawings are not on scale; it's purely there to show you, what levels you need to look for, or ranges that you need to look for when you see a bullish or bearish scenario. So just remember, when you look at the reports, to keep that in mind, that it's not on scale, because I know some people have said, like, look, the drawing is not onto scale, but it's not intended to be on scale. It's just to give you a sense of direction of where the market's going. Moving on from this, what we've seen lately, which has been quite interesting, is the topic around Ethereum, whether we should be buying, selling, adding to our positions and all of that. But the bigger interesting sort of project that we've been looking at lately, especially in the last couple of days, has been Matic or Polygon. They've been obviously quite busy around it, and Stoney, you can maybe give us a bit more info, from a fundamentals point of view. What have you seen, and what stands out to you apart from obviously the Uniswap unanimous voting that's gone on? What are you seeing in the sort of on the fundamental side? What is happening there? Sorry, sorry, Smokey. Apparently, the people are saying that they can't hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, sorry, I
But
apologize.
they're saying there's no sound.
No
Just going back to the before you go on with Luna, the Matic and Polygon. Do you think that apart from obviously them going onto the Matic project and setup scenario, would that obviously enable them to lower their gas fees essentially?
That's pretty much the thing. So with the underlying technology of Ethereum, Polygon, I think has been in competition for the last year, but you can see that with these things kind of growing in different directions, you're going to see some D apps, they don't have the developers or the time to kind of migrate, so they're sticking it through. But there's a lot of companies that like Uniswap, which is fundamentally their revenue and their profit is dependent on having a lot of lucrative volume in there, and they can't get that volume if the fees are too expensive. So seeing these kind of price drops will not only push something like Uniswap up, but it's going to create a lot of opportunity for other Polygon applications that's going to starting soon that won't have that that gas fee problem, but at the same time have access to a lot of other protocols that might even help them innovate and drive other technologies. So it's extremely interesting to see that even though Ethereum and Bitcoin they're the biggest, they are the best, and institutions are looking at them right now, but the early adopters, and we're talking about Uniswap and these other kind of tokens that are purely dependent on being innovative and a step ahead, they're moving away from Ethereum into competing blockchain technologies, not only because of gas use, but you can see that they're after people and communities that's bringing out constant updates, and that's going to focus on what the real problems are.
That's interesting. Like we spoke last night about the what's the names, like with a looking at the blue chip scenario from a sort of financial sort of advisory point of view. Not that we're giving financial advice, but just you coming from that industry and talking about sort of blue chip crypto coins like Ethereum, for example, where institutions are investing in these sort of safer, call it stable coins, if you would, not that they are stable coins, but they are sort of stable, lower risk projects. How would that, we've seen that Avalanche or Avex, we've seen institutions like BitGo, the CEO, what's his name, Michael, he mentioned that they are actually adding to their position because of the Avalanche being obviously cheaper, faster, lower gas fees, but just being able to be more sufficient and efficient in terms of what sort of Ethereum is offering, and now looking at Matic and some of the problems that they would be solving, but also looking at the DEXs and we spoke about last night about the security aspect around the DEXs at this point, which is not ideal at the moment. Looking at our past experience with obviously Uniswap and that as well, but how do we see that obviously changing and being sort of implemented? Matic had that 140 million rand sort of dollars issue with that's being hacked on one of their gaming platforms. So do you know maybe what they are planning to sort of do in terms of a cyber security point of view to improve that, or is that quite a big topic to discuss maybe on another time?
I think security in itself, with any new technology, we can see it's becoming a big problem. With Solana, with Avex, with all of these guys that's pioneering and bringing out new protocols, there will be problems. Anyone bringing out a new car, bringing out a new game, you're bound to run into problems in the beginning, and those problems might be so detrimental to such extent that you won't be able to start. So you can see security is basically the underlying, the big thing of blockchain. So I think it's not only difficult, but to find the right teams that's on the right level to work together towards that technology, but also get the funding from the institutions. That's something I don't think we're going to see right now. As you just mentioned, we can see some of the smaller institutions who are able to make much more flexible decisions. They'll invest into this technology much quicker and earlier, which yes will give them the funding they need to improve. But the big money that we're looking for to go after and improve the actual projects, most of them are still going towards Ethereum and Bitcoin right now. So I think we're still going to see a lot of stumbling blocks with a lot of these big blockchain technologies in the next year.
That's amazing. So let's chat about Luna. We've seen obviously a lot of things. We saw this week on Tuesday, it was actually released last week on the 12th. It was released that Luna is going to be launched on Kraken, and we saw a nice push down on Monday, where we then saw a strong push back up on Tuesday, continuing throughout the week, seeing some nice sort of recovery and gains, adding to obviously balancing of pricing efficiency and all of that, which was quite awesome. And if you're in the project and you've been farming a bit of coins, you would have made some nice gains on that little project, seeing as Luna has been super active the last 2 weeks, I'd say for most of December actually. But it's been super interesting to see what they've been doing and that. But you were busy talking about Luna, and you were busy explaining some stuff to us around the Luna and maybe the stable coin, I don't know. But what did you want to tell us about Luna and the whole project?
No, so I said it's quite interesting, Luna not only being at a very pitiable stage right now, reaching for that previous highs. And I think there's a lot of hype looking at TikTok and just looking at general social media. You can see people are pushing it. So from a hype point of view, I know prices going up. But I think if you're also looking at the back end technology of what Luna, is trying to achieve as a stable coin, besides, being a second Ethereum or Bitcoin, but being a very, very valuable, should I say, stable coin, as opposed to USDT and USDC that says they're actually backed. I think what Terra is doing differently and what they're trying to achieve is very much drawing the attention of institutions in a good and a bad way. So I think if we're looking at the charts and looking at news right now, Luna is going to continue being bullish, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Smiley, don't you want to, we've had quite a bit of viewers asking us for some practical sort of setup applications for their investment purposes, how to get into sort of trades in terms of maybe better entries and that. I know we've showed some examples in the past, but can you show us, maybe just a nice breakdown, maybe not too much detail in terms of, confusing the people, but giving them a nice sort of basic breakdown for the beginners and for the people that's not maybe as, well versed in the trading game as us, but give us a breakdown on Luna, and then I will just mark up the charts for you, and you can just talk me through what you want to see and how you would typically, if we're taking Luna for a trade setup, what must I do? I'm a new trader, new investor. I want to get into Luna. What do I do? What do I look at? How do I determine where I could potentially look for entry zone on Luna?
All right. Thanks, Smokey and Stony. I'm so happy to be in this show. All right. Without wasting much time, we need to dive into the real game. All right. Switching to the weekly time frame. We need to check the structural bias. We need to get at least a bit of direction. We need to know where exactly we are. So, and Smokey. Yeah. Thanks. Kindly switch to the weekly time frame. Yeah. All right. Checking the structures without going too deep on heat. All right. Once we're checking the structures, we can see for the past few months, even on the weekly time frame, we've been Luna has been crazily in an uptrend. Yeah, we've been creating a series of higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and higher lows. Right. So without wasting much of our time, we can see Luna got to the stage. I think the all-time high of about 78.02 US dollar. All right, mark that for me. Yeah, thanks. All right, so that should be the all-time high, and you can see quickly. We can see the price rejection with a spinny top, more of like indecision. We don't know. Maybe buyers or sellers are in control. All right. Keeping technical times away. Talking in terms of demand and supply zones. We can see for every structures, for every higher lows we create, there was a crazy demand, like a crazy price push up. Now, even checking the zone around, let me see, around 45.66 dollar and $34.37. Smokey, you can kindly, thanks for that. Yeah, that should be the demand. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You can see from that particular zone, we can see price came down with a week. More of like we have this hidden demand. Yeah, permit me to use the word because that should be the technical word.
100%, you can use it.
Yeah, we can see we have some hidden demand there on that particular week. And what do you think? What do you see after that? We saw a crazy push up to the upside. Now, in terms of when we are even talking about the news, fundamentals, everything, I think everything is clearly shown on the charts that the price was pushed down so that they can buy lower. Then what? We have a crazy demand to the upside. Now, what gives us the faith? What direction are we looking at? At this particular direction we are looking at, we can see that the all-time high about 70.02. The question you should ask yourself is that for price to shift, for price to turn, for price to come down from this particular zone, there is something is reacting to. There is something that is happening at this particular zone. Exactly. Okay, now without even going too deep, we can see that, okay, fine. For Luna to attain another all-time high, price need to break this 78.02. Yeah, thanks for that. Price need to fail that. Price need to break that zone. Yeah, and Stony, pertaining to the question you asked me, yes, thanks for that. If you're a newbie and you want to get into the market, you want to know this, you want to know this, the first question you should ask yourself is that where exactly we are, who is in control. Yes, and at this particular moment, we don't know who is in control yet. We don't know who is riding the trend yet. Because personally, looking at this weekly chart, even without going to the daily chart, looking at this weekly chart, we need to see a break as you've done the let me say the graphical representation. We need to see a break above the 78 region. Yeah, thanks for that. We need to see a swing high, then possibly a pullback or a retracement down to the demand zone that created or that sponsored the move. But in regardless, or let's say in the opposite side or in the subjective part, if price fails to, breaks this zone, breaks this resistance. Yeah, let me use the word resistance or let me use the word supply. Anyone you want to use supply and resistance. If price fails, yeah, you can. Yeah, thanks for that. If price fails to break this particular high, then I think the next thing we will be looking for is to the downside, because we are going to, though the criteria for a demand zone have been made, we have a sharp move to the upside, but we did not break any significant high. Yeah, thanks for that. Yes, we did not break any significant high. We need a break above this resistance before we can say Luna has fulfilled that zone, that demand zone, as or let me say that support zone has fulfilled its obligation. Are you getting me? Now, on the opposite side, if price fails to break this resistance, then definitely we are going to go for more liquidity. Let me use the word money. We are going to go for more money that price has engineered, because as price move, price is engineering liquidity, more of like a dynamic liquidity, more of like a dynamic money. Yes, thanks for that. If we fail to break this resistance, then we need, it's just like price. We need to go down more to take more money for a good price efficiency, so it can break this resistance next time it's approaching that zone. So now, more significantly, if I should say, or if I should give some kind of a little bit of signal, I would rather say, to be on the safer side, we should see a clear break of the resistance. Then we can take that support zone as a key level zone to take the next impulsive move from. Because definitely, once we break that zone, we are going to see a pullback. Yeah, thanks for that. We are going to see a pullback down to that region. Yeah, down to the support region, or down to where Smokey has marked out, because we are more of like price might not necessarily move down to the support zone, or might just create a new demand zone that would sponsor the next move. So now my little advice is that we need to see a clear break of the resistance, and if price fails to break the resistance, then we need to move down to grab price. We need to move down to grab more liquidity for price efficiency to break the resistance next time it's approaching that zone. Thanks, Smokey and Stony.
So let's have a look at it. Okay, so what you basically are telling me, if I'm a new investor, right? You are telling me basically that we are forming new higher highs, new higher lows, and then new higher highs. And
Exactly.
and here we've currently on the weekly chart, we are seeing a 3-bar play, we are seeing a continuation, but we haven't broken resistance. So
Exactly.
this would indicate two probabilities. We've got one probability where price will come and tap into the resistance and then push down potentially to a support or demand zone, essentially, before seeing a
Yeah.
continuation down, because we want to grab liquidity somewhere in this sort of region and then see a continuation. And then the other scenario that you are saying is that we need to break above the resistance, so break with a candle close above, then that will push price down to come and fill any price inefficiency in the zone to grab essentially liquidity, because that's what it is, liquidity.
Exactly.
And then we see
Exactly.
a push up. So okay, so that makes totally sense for me. So let's have a look at the lower time frames and just see where we can potentially look at what would be a great sort of scenario. I'm going to leave the dots here. Let's have a look at the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, if we put it into perspective, we can see various, supply and demand levels. We've already established on a higher time frame that we've got resistance potentially within, if I move this down slightly, in this sort of vicinity or this zone or this region. So we are expecting maybe a break above and then a push back, or a reversal from this reaction once we've broken structure and all of that. So if I am an investor or a new trader potentially, and I want to get into the market, so if I look at the trading range where we've created between support and resistance, where would I buy essentially? I would want to buy low and sell high. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
so then what we would need to see is for price to come and react off of, sort of this zone or potentially this lower zone here. Ideally, what we want is for price to react off an actual zone before we see a continuation, because that will give us the higher probability sort of scenario. But it's not to say that price will always go this low, you know, because obviously different coins move differently and react to different, setups, and depending if they trading liquidity to liquidity, support to resistance, or vice versa. So that's quite interesting. So, if I look at potential entries, and maybe let's scale down to 15-minute, because I want to try and get the best possible entry that I can. So if I had to now look for optimal entries, let's have a look and see if we can maybe find anything that, so currently the price is, let's put it in perspective, price is at $74. If I'm going to enter at, let's say, $60, because that's a psychological level, that gives me almost a 20% discount. So that would be a great buying opportunity, just as an example. If price goes lower, and let's say it goes to $55, roughly, that would give me almost a 25% discount, which is also a great discount. And let's say it goes all the way back to 50, that's a 31% discount. Now, keeping in mind that we've seen, and you've showed us, that obviously the overall structure is bullish, although we need to break this major swing high. But obviously price can now expect to come down. So we could potentially look for entries. If we just looking at sort of round numbers, we can maybe look at potentially the $50 range. Let's just mark it out. So I can look at that as a key psychological level. I can also potentially maybe look at a quarterly level of $52.50. Or I can look at, depending on obviously the amount of risk I'm willing to take, and how much I am willing to, how long I'm willing to wait, because this is obviously, once we've done the setup, we are going to wait for price to come down to our entries, and then potentially look for reaction off of this zone, forming maybe, shifting market structure with a bullish continuation. Same rule applies if price trades lower. We're going to look for reaction, the confirmation in this range, and then the later range. So I think that's, to give the people a bit more perspective about how this works. But I think, without making it too complicated, I just wanted to show and illustrate to the people and subscribers that have asked us this question, just to give a bit more perspective. But keeping in mind, we are launching the TradeAcade University early next year, where we will be going down in depth, taking you through from the start, making sure you understand market structure, working your way up the ranks from a beginner, intermediate to advanced level. We are offering the complete course. We are going to break it down from supply and demand, support and resistance. We are going to talk about pricing efficiency in the course. We've already got 31 educational videos just for the first video, which will be a free video for the first launch of the university. So that's going to be quite amazing. 33 lessons that we're going to it's going to offer you assignments, it's going to offer you the whole package, video tutorials that you can go back to. So we really want to aim to get you as well educated as possible in the trading perspective, so that it can help your investment as well as your short-term trades. I think it's going to be a brilliant product. There's not much like that out there. We actually creating the course with all our analysts and developers from scratch. So it's going to be quite an amazing journey. We're excited. We hope to see you in the course. and take you through what we know, and that will also help give you more perspective on the reports that we're doing, as well as the weekly analysis. Now, talking about the TradeAcade University that we are launching, I mean, everyone's super excited about it. We've had quite a bit of inquiries about it as well. But what I also want to talk about, what we're going to be running sort of parallel to the TradeAcade Academy, to prove that we are not just analysts or YouTubers. We are actually traders that are trading on a full-time basis. So we apply what we teach, and we also know what we're talking about when we're talking markets and how the markets move. So we are going to do the 10K challenge that we've set up to prove and show you guys how long it takes realistically to build, account, what it takes, the ups and downs throughout the episodes that we'll be doing in the next 3 months, as we grow the account. So that's going to be a quite exciting project. Now, we said on Friday that we are waiting for a scenario to get into the market with the $10,000 account that we're busy trading as a challenge, where we've put money together thanks to the Moonacade team, and we are going to obviously try and scale this account as realistically as possible while maintaining proper risk management throughout the process. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be a leverage account and not a spot account, so there is a lot more risk involved that we want to do. So just keep that in mind when you guys don't try and imitate what we are doing, because we've been doing it for a good amount of years, and we've been studying the markets quite extensively over the last couple of years, and we've been trading various markets, from the forex market, indices, some stocks here and there, and as well as the crypto.
All right. Thanks, Smokey. And yeah, definitely. Okay. Sorry for that. Based on the account, the $10,000 account, definitely, as I've said, last week, let me see, on Friday, yeah, I made mention of something that I would rather place trades on something, or let me say we are going to place trades on high profitable, let me say, profitability setups, rather than we just taking rush on trades, and we just losing the money. Yeah, because definitely we want to get the exact direction. We want to get this exact directional bias of Bitcoin before we can definitely say, okay, fine, this is the trade we're taking, this is a particular trade we are not going to be taking. Because there's some criteria, there's some criteria you look out for in your particular setup while you're analyzing. And once that criteria is not or has not been met, definitely you're not going to be taking that trade. One thing in trading is that you need to be disciplined. You need to stick to the game. You need to stick to the plan that has been working for you. So we can just say, okay, because we are putting up a particular challenge and we just be taking trades anyhow. No, we are going to be taking high profitability setup, because we don't want to risk any amount of money, and we don't want to lose any amount of money. Yeah, definitely. Reason why I said so is that if you don't spot the liquidity, then you are going to be the liquidity. Yes, if you don't spot the exact or the zones where money are, then definitely the broker you are using or any platform you are using, we're going to use you as the money. So definitely, and we don't want to make the money, we want to make the money. So definitely we want to take the right trade, we want to take the right setup. So definitely for now, we are checking and still waiting on the exact direction of where BTC is heading to, so that we can get a clue on how we are going to relate that with other altcoins, and especially we're going to take that some trades on Bitcoin also. So Smokey, that's on the $10,000 account.
100%, man. Thanks so much for that info. I look forward to hopefully maybe getting a trade with you next week. I am looking at some projects. But guys, please, if you like our content, if you want to see what we're going to do and you want to be notified, please click the like, share, and subscribe button. Get on it. Get in touch with the Moonacade team and see how you can get involved to track our progress, because we're going to trade this account live, and also as we launch the TradeAcade University that's coming up early next year. And also, obviously, watch out for our reports and our analysis weekly as we get through the end of this year to see where we end off with Bitcoin and the various altcoins in the market. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.